Hi Tricia, nice to see you, and thanks for joining the Life Exchange group today. It's been a while, and it's lovely to see you again. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it has been too long.
Yeah,
Several years, I think.
I know.
I wouldn't like to say.
Yeah, I know. It's gone too quick, isn't it? But
Hmm.
I just wanted to introduce the group to you today to talk about plants and herbs, and you've got an extensive knowledge in this area, and I remember this very well. And so I just wanted to share it with the group because there are things that we can all do on an outside gardening basis or an inside, and particularly interested in planting inside, and particularly plants and herbs with properties. So just to talk to the group a little bit about you, and you have a gardening company called the Outdoor Room, which helps people with designing gardens and landscapes. And you work in clinics as well as private gardens. And you've also got alchemy therapies, and you look very much into the mind-body therapies for chronic conditions. You are Dr. Tricia Worby, and
Yeah.
you have a PhD and a Bachelor of Science and a Master of Science, and you're also sit down for this one, everybody. You are also a certified wellbeing coach, NLP practitioner, EFT practitioner, clinical hypnotherapist. You are a speaker and a presenter. You are an author of The Scar That Won't Heal, which looks at stress, trauma, and emotions in chronic illnesses. And I believe you've got some other books as well, isn't there?
Yes,
Yes.
I've written a few now. That was my first one. It's
Yeah.
still my most popular book, but yeah, I've written a few since then as well. So
Okay. All right. And you are a practitioner of body orientated psychotherapies, which aims to release unprocessed emotions. You studied nutritional medicine, and you've developed a program for the release of unprocessed emotions using a combination of havening, EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, and EFT. You're a gardener, you're an environmentalist, and you're going to talk to us today about how we can grow some herbs and plants, and the properties involved with those, what they are, how we grow them, where we grow them. Thank you. It's an amazing array of knowledge that you've got there, which encapsulates everything, doesn't it? It brings together like the gardening with the health, and yeah,
yeah, well,
wonderful.
it's all my interests kind
Yeah,
of in a nutshell. I mean, I'm 56, so I've had a number of years to kind of, achieve all that. So it's not like
yeah.
I did it all in one go. And it started out with a passion for gardening. That's always been my thing since I was old enough to hold a watering can. I would go out and I would plant pansies in my parents' garden,
Yeah,
But
lovely.
after that, I learned how to grow plants, how to propagate them, how to look after them, prune them. And from about the age of 16, I was gardening in my spare time, earning a bit of money that way. And
Who taught you? How did you learn? How?
my dad was a really keen gardener, and when given the choice between helping my mum in the house or helping my dad in the garden, it would always be, no, I want to help my dad in the garden, because it
Yeah,
was outdoors, it was with
yeah,
him, he was
yeah,
a nice chap to be around. And it was also, who likes housework? I mean,
yeah,
I mean, really.
exactly. Yeah.
So that's where I learned, really. And I used to watch him. So I used to watch him do it all, and he would explain things to me, why and how to do stuff. So working in the greenhouse, that was always fascinating to me. And the smell of a greenhouse, even
Yeah.
today, when you go in and you smell that lovely smell of growing things,
Mm,
soil and
mm,
fungus, I guess, whatever it is that gives it that smell.
mm.
And then, as I say, then I sort of I went into doing science, because that's what everybody told me I should do from school. And I tried for a number of years to make it in sort of science research, which, is great, but it wasn't for me in the end. Got made redundant at one point, and went and thought, oh, what else do I know? I know gardening. So I went to set myself up as a gardener, and that's when I sort of began to study landscape design, garden design, and became a professional gardener for a number of years, which I still do, but alongside the health stuff which came in later, as I myself had a few health issues which needed addressing. So
yeah, but yeah. I guess like you having the health issues probably pushed you in your own learning for, you know, realization that there needs to be backup to the medical profession, doesn't there, sometimes, in looking at emotions behind illness. And I guess, did that kind of move you down that road?
Totally. So what happened to me, without going into the full detail, was about age 34. I had, you know, I'd been in a fairly conventional science career, and then that had sort of petered out, and then I was doing the gardening, and I was in a relationship. It was my first major relationship, you know, living, mortgage, all of that, and that collapsed. And I just didn't know what to do with that. I just carried on working, of course, but I had to move out of my home, find a new place to live. You know, it happens to a lot of people. And I went from being a sort of mortgaged but comfortably off person to being really, really struggling and in a sort of rented lodging with several other people. I was very lonely and felt like my life had fallen apart. And it hit me about 18 months later. I just started to get really fatigued and dizzy. Dizziness was one of the first symptoms, which I now know is, you know, it's adrenal shock. It's like you've been carrying on and carrying on and carrying on, and your adrenals are pumping out cortisol and adrenaline to keep you going. And then eventually it's like it can't do that anymore, and things start to wind down. And for me, it was just really troubling, because here I was self-employed and I couldn't drive, I couldn't stand up some days. So it was a real shock. And then I had to sort of find out what I could do about that. And I went to the doctor, like you do. They gave me pills for everything, pills to sleep, pills to keep going, pills to lift the depression, whatever it was. And they made no difference really. I just got sicker and sicker and sicker. And I think it was a friend of mine who was very alternative. Though I have to tell you, I was not
at that point.
Not at all. If anybody's thinking, oh, I'm not really into alternative stuff, well, nor was I. But she said to me, what have you got to lose, Tricia? Because you're really ill and you've tried this conventional route for 2 years and you're even worse. And I had to give her that she was right. Nothing had worked up to that point. And I actually had acupuncture and herbs, funnily enough. Chinese herbs in this case. They're very powerful too. And it just totally turned my life around. Because I won't say it just lifted everything, but it made a big difference. And then because of that shock to my kind of worldview, because my worldview was, if it isn't conventional, it doesn't work. If I haven't read about it in my science training, then it doesn't exist. And then I had to sort of reconfigure that, because clearly here was a treatment that modern medicine didn't have any knowledge of, that had shifted me. And so that started my journey towards this alternative. I don't even want to call it alternative. We should think of it as integrated, really. It's part and parcel. We need science, we need hospitals, we need intervention sometimes, we need drugs sometimes. But it shouldn't be the first line defense for your health, really. That's my point now. And I've integrated body work into my practice and into my knowledge, you know, because I was very phobic of touch. You know, I really didn't, I tell people I didn't exist below here, you know. I was a head, mind, whirring, busy mind that just went around on a body that had to carry me wherever I wanted to go. And when the body started failing, that's when it was a real shock. And I had to do something different to what I had done before. And so I learned about all this stuff. And what I found out really, really shocked me. What's going on?
But thankful you had that journey, you know, thankful you had that opportunity to sort of re-look at your reality. It's
a worldview shift. And it woke me up, as I like to say. It wasn't immediate. It took a few months and years, but I gradually got to understand that we're more than just a mind separate from our body. We are both. We're mind and body, and they talk to each other, and they have this huge interconnection. And our connection with the world, of course, the world around us, the earth, the sun, the soil, is so important, because we are part of this. We can't be separate from it, and that kind of helps me unite everything that I'm interested in, because then if I look after the earth, it looks after me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, perfect.
So
And so when you what plants do you have near you in the house, out of interest? You know, so when you think of like a plant for healing, have there been any plants that you've kind of worked with in particular through your journey, which have been good for, like?
So for me, one of the first plants I ever got introduced to was a plant called echinacea, which is I haven't got one here to show you, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's a daisy flower. It's a Native American herb. Cone flower, I think, is the common name. And it's got pink petals and this lovely black centre. It makes them very, very distinctive in a garden. Okay.
Yeah.
You can grow them in tubs as well. They're very easy. And the root, when you grind the root up and distill it, I wouldn't suggest you do that yourself. You can buy it easily as a distilled liquid. It's just so profoundly immune stimulating. It's just so brilliant to rebalance your immune system. And I remember traveling around America. I know you've done a lot of traveling. I went to America for a month just to sort of kind of see it. I think it was my later 30s, and the traveling was great, but traveling is hard, isn't it? And after a while, my body just started to really show signs that I was getting a really bad flu type viral infection, because we just weren't eating properly. We weren't staying anywhere long enough to eat properly. And my American hosts, I luckily was staying with some American friends, said to me, well, you need some echinacea. And I was like, what's that? And they gave me the echinacea drops, and I just had 2 or 3 on the tongue in the morning, and just started to notice actually that I felt a lot better. And instead of developing a really bad chest infection, which was always the way with me if I got a cold, it just kind of lifted. And that was the first inkling I had that herbs might be very powerful. And so I always have a bottle I wish I had one to show you. I always have a bottle of echinacea in my medicine cabinet. I've totally overhauled my medicine cabinet, right? And I've ditched Gaviscon and paracetamol and all the things that basically modern medicine says you need to counter the symptoms of ill health, all right, headaches, poor digestion. And I've replaced it with things that actually support the body's natural systems. So echinacea, great plant, and also a great herb for health. That's one really good example, actually.
Can I just ask, so if somebody wanted to grow echinacea, where could you get the plants from? Are they in most nurseries?
Garden centre plant, yes. Nursery planting. There's various varieties. There's purpurea, which is the one I just talked about with the sort of bright pinky purple.
But
there's also a white variety as well, which is really lovely.
Okay.
You probably won't find it in your local sort of DIY store. It's more a specialist nursery or garden centre. At the moment, that's a little tricky, but hopefully as things open up a bit more, people they won't find it difficult to find. It's not an uncommon plant at all.
Okay.
It's great in sunny places. All right, don't plant it under a tree. It won't like that at all. Sun and a reasonably moist soil. It needs moisture.
Brilliant.
So incorporate some organic matter into the soil if your soil is naturally sandy or dry. But I would say that with any border, you need to feed the soil. If you feed the soil, you feed the plants. So it's not difficult to find.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Other than that, just thinking about what I have around me right now, inside, for people who don't have a garden. Okay. I've got a spider plant.
Yes.
I'm going to grab that. Hold on.
Yes. Okay.
Right. Now these are, very common.
Yes.
Okay. Variegated, but brilliant for filtering out toxins. in your
Oh,
internal environment. Okay, and so easy to grow. You know, people who say to you, "Oh, you've got green fingers. Everything I grow dies." All right, spider plant, you just can't go wrong. It tolerates drought, tolerates overwatering. It's just so easy. And after a while, they get these little shoots that come out, and then they have little baby plants on the bottom, and you can repot those and give them to friends and stuff.
which is
But
quite
they're one of the
nice.
plants, yeah, free planting. And then the other thing I've got is a fern. Hold on.
Okay.
Right, this is a maidenhair fern.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, these are one of the top 10 plants. If you look up NASA top 10 house plants, okay, Google it. They're one of the other top 10 plants for filtering out toxins, internal air toxins. In other words, off-gassing from your sofa, your carpets, your emulsion paint, everything in your home, particularly if it's new, off gases. Okay, and most people think toxicity and pollution is outdoors, but it's also inside, and you spend a lot more time, particularly at the moment, indoors than you do out. So maidenhair fern,
Yeah.
and brilliant
That's
for
really
that.
interesting about that is about the toxins.
Yeah.
What about lavender? So lavender, can you grow that inside, or is it really supposed to be an outside plant?
You need a sunny windowsill.
Yeah.
You know, like they do on Blue Peter. Here's one I made earlier. No.
Handy.
So a sunny windowsill would be perfect for lavender, but you'll have to keep turning it.
Yeah.
Otherwise it will grow towards the light and it will get very lopsided. So you just tweak it every now and again, turn it a quarter.
That's handy. And what's the properties of lavender?
So lavender is very anti-inflammatory, very antiseptic. It's great for helping you with insomnia because it's just naturally very calming.
Yeah.
Actually, just stroking the leaves here is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't tell you how lovely that smells. Lavender it's nothing like lavender scented things that you buy that are artificial. You know, I used to think I didn't like lavender because my house when we grew up was full of lavender talcum powder and lavender soap and stuff, and it wasn't real lavender. It was it misses all the organic compounds that make the lavender smell so complex, and it's just a chemical artificial variety. So the real thing is like a fine wine. It has a mixture of probably hundreds of different chemicals in, which give you this lovely aromatic quality, and it's just brilliant for, you can crush the leaves, dry them, put them in little pillows under your pillow. Actually, is really good for sleep, so it's well known for that. But lavender oil is another of my go-tos for the medicine cabinet.
Yeah,
brilliant for cuts, rashes, anything skin related. Okay,
interesting.
Along with aloe vera, those are my two sort of skin things. So lavender's great, very easy, but it needs a lot of sun. Oh yes,
there's me aloe vera.
Aloe vera.
Aloe vera.
I've got one downstairs. It's massive.
Is it?
Yeah. So you can crack the leaves. You can slice or break the leaves and squeeze the gel onto burns. It's brilliant for burns. So lavender's kind of, lavender and aloe vera, two really good plants for indoors, and both need sun.
Okay. Would you keep that plant in your bedroom?
The lavender or the aloe?
Lavender.
I wouldn't, because my bedroom faces north.
Ah, okay.
So that isn't going to work for me. But if I had a sunny windowsill, I wouldn't be, unless I was mold sensitive. Now there's another big issue.
Okay.
The soil contains various fungi, okay, and that's natural and normal for the plant to thrive. But if you are mold sensitive, you've got to watch how many houseplants you have, particularly with damp soil.
Okay.
I do have houseplants in my bedroom, because I want the air purification from the foliage. But you've got to be a bit careful if you're very mold sensitive, and some people are. You can get tested for that. But as a general rule, you will know probably, because if you go into a mouldy room, you get sniffly. Yeah. You start to get mucousy and sniffly. So I probably would be a bit careful about what you had in your bedroom. I would tend to have only 2 or 3
Yeah.
plants of the filtering kind rather than the flowering kind, personally.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. That's good to know.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's good, Tricia. And
Mm. Okay.
you've we were talking earlier, and you have also done some short videos
I have.
for beginners gardening, which I'm going to be watching. And you've kindly said that you would post them on the a couple of them on the group as well, so people could see, which would be great. But that was
Yeah.
really interesting, and maybe we can talk in the future about a couple more, because I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a
Let's
really
do it.
interesting topic. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
talking to the group today. And
No, no probs. No probs. A delight. And hope I've inspired some new ideas of people about taking life into your own hands. You know, your health and
yeah,
healing is really important. And gardening is one of those things that enhances health. So it's really, really key.
definitely. And we've got a good weekend coming up for weather,
We
so
have. Yeah.
we'll take that opportunity. So
Super.
okay, thanks,
Right.
Tricia, and
Bye from.
I'll see you
Yeah.
soon. Oh yeah, bye. Get that lavender. Yes. All right. I'll see
All
you
right.
soon. Thanks a
See you
lot.
soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.